Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender norm resistors. It's time once again for another journey with the Pirates of the Geek Vortex. And me, your host, Ollamh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am finally feeling better. Oh my goodness, it was the cold that I had. I don't know what it was, but man, it was nasty. Anyway, excuse me. With that said, let's go ahead and just jump right on into it and see who all's here in the voice chat, shall we? Hello there.
Hello.
There we go. I was gonna say, I thought there were actually people here.
It's true, we're here.
Somehow.
And how have you guys been?
Well, we apparently both have news, so it just depends. Whose hell of a week do you want to hear from first?
I'm not sure.
Caden, why don't you go ahead?
All right. So let's see. For the past 3 weeks, up until Tuesday, I was just as sick as you. Upper respiratory infection, couldn't breathe, coughing. I mean, you guys heard me last game night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then came Monday. Monday, at about 11 o'clock at night, I get a phone call that starts with, "We need to talk."
Oh, joy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was like, oh, great. So what are we talking about? And then I get, "We're going down to Texas. We leave Wednesday. Pack."
From whom?
From my mother.
Okay. Well, see, now the we need to talk is very different, knowing that it comes from your mother. So.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to the second bit of news, which is I'm currently sitting with Shelby.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Shelby.
Hello.
I was trying to do something sweet and surprise him, but it involved getting his mom involved, and, yeah. I tried.
Yeah.
If it involves moving across state lines, you certainly tried.
Well, it's the problem is Shelby has problems hiding secrets. When she does, she tends to go like completely quiet, and I know something's up. And then my mother has a tendency to be a vindictive bitch, so we get we need to talk. I'm like, what did I do? But yeah, so because we are here and we're chilling out, we have decided to revive an old tradition of ours from back when she lived in Virginia. And we have a bunch of shitty snacks, a 6-pack of Smirnoff Ice, a shit ton of Dr. Pepper, and probably some bad movies, but we're going to hang out with you guys and just shoot the shit for a while.
Sounds good to me.
See, so it wasn't all bad. It just, I suck at surprises.
Okay, so that's it for my week. Ras, what you got?
All right. First of all, let me start off with the bad news. Ollamh, a friend of yours and mine may have, well, I know I knew them, I think you knew them, has died.
Oh.
All right. I will ping you later on who it is.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you wanted to do a tribute on them, but just a heads up, I will. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Now, on the good news side of things, as I've been learning from my FC mates in Final Fantasy, Street Fighter 6 is having an open beta right now. So if you want to see if your computer will actually run it, now's the time.
I'm willing to bet my computer could probably run it. I just don't know how well. It depends on how much of a resource hog it is.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, mine runs 5 just fine, so we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what it was that I had, but oh man, it was just for a good like week and a half or week and a half, 2.5. I don't even remember. I don't even know how long it was. It was just, yeah, it was. I was making it out of bed to eat, go to the bathroom, then I'd like curl up under a blanket on the couch and like. I've watched so many old TV shows that it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate.
So I assume you tested and it was something other than COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't COVID, so.
It could be flu, considering the flu zone personal schedule seems to have moved around a lot the last few years. I caught it around June of last year.
Yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is with colds and the flu and stuff like that is it's not so much what the temperature is outside, it's going from one extreme to another that hits your immune system.
Yeah.
Very true. And Illinois is the land of the weather rolling D100.
Oh yeah. Like I think it was wasn't it a few days ago that I think it was a few days ago I looked and it was like 85, 86 degrees outside at about 2:30. By 4:30 it was about 68. It's like I remember looking at it, I'm like that's not normal or good.
Are we going to die?
Nah, it never gets that bad, normally. I mean, I guess occasionally it does when, when it's like, oh, hey, it's, it's drastic change and, like, there's 2 or 3 tornadoes ripping through the area.
Or 5 Fool Springs in 1 year.
Yeah.
But see, you were lucky at least. You had old movies. All I had was bad Kindle.
Yeah, I delved deep into the Tubi streaming service there.
Oh god, it would be great.
About the only place you can stream the old Highlander TV show.
That dovetails nicely into something.
Well, it dovetails pretty nicely into our topic for tonight.
Indeed.
How we're all going to ritualistically sacrifice each other because there can be only one?
No. But distribution of media in general, which seems it's Rasklin proposed the topic. I'll let him take the lead on it.
Well, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of mergers. We're seeing a lot more, how should I put this, resentment towards a completely digital solution. People want to know, hey, do I really have permanent access to this? And the answer is, no, you don't. We hope you got a hard copy or found a way to download it. That applies to games, games, movies, music, all forms of media at this point. I don't have an Xbox Live subscription or anything, but I imagine if I did, oh boy.
Yeah, Game Pass is annoying.
I don't have, I'm not really active on the PlayStation Network because my last console was a PS3, but yeah.
Well, let's not even get started on stuff like 14.
I've noticed that.
FF14?
Yeah.
I've noticed that with especially with the like the streaming, the TV streaming and stuff. It's like, I was trying to get through all of A Good Place. When I dropped Netflix, it was like, okay, I've gotten through the first 4 seasons. I only had the last season to go. And that was on Hulu, but it was only on Hulu for a month after like a month or a year or something like that after it aired, and then it was gone, and then it moved over to Netflix. I'm like, what? But I wasn't done with that yet.
Yeah, it's been.
Oh, and pissed me off. It was Grand Theft Auto 4. That game. Oh, at least the version that I have, I can't play it anymore because Rockstar changed their setup for their their online service that you have to sign into or you have to have an account to play. Like, I think it was Rockstar Social, and then it changed to something else, and it's like, yeah, their old one is now gone, so having it on Steam, I can't play it because it keeps looking for that old service, and it's just not there anymore.
Even for those of us who bought a hard copy back in the day, I mean, like, I doubt I could just plug in a PS3 and play it again because it's old. Things might go, hey, when was the last time your account logged in with this blah, blah, blah? Here's limited gameplay.
I actually have... Hi, everyone.
Hey.
He snuck in.
I've been here for a few minutes. But yeah, no, I actually still have my PS3, and it works perfectly. I'm
Good.
And surprisingly, in Canada, I don't know if it's the same way in the States, but in Canada, the PlayStation Store for PS3 is still active. You can actually still buy PS3 games on it.
Nice.
Okay, that's good to know.
But yeah, it's kind of the question, but it's a really interesting question as far as like, okay, if Steam decided that, you know, for whatever reason that your account needs to be canceled and banned from Steam or something like that, it's like there's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of games that are just inaccessible now.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's also why I buy games on disc most of the time, because when you buy digitally, you're just buying a license. You're not buying a game.
Yeah.
You're literally buying a license that they can just take away from you at any point. And then and that goes for Steam, that goes for Xbox, Switch, and Sony. All of them. You're basically buying a license. And if they decide that they want to take that away from you, they don't need to refund you. They'll be like, well, you know what? You paid for this license. We're not... And this has happened before in the past, where I would have bought PS3 games, and now the PS3 games are no longer on Sony's store or anything, so you can't re-get them or anything like that. They're not in your library anymore, so they're literally gone. Yeah. So it does happen, not very often, but it does happen, which is why I prefer to get games on disc.
I mean, that's what I hate about the Xbox Game Pass, is that it's like, hey, do you want to download this onto your hard drive? You're like, yeah, sure. And the moment you don't have an internet connection, they're like, hey, guess what? You can't play that.
It's true. And not just that, but those games don't last on there. That's why I say that if there's a game that is on there that you really like, buy it on disc. Because honestly, all of those games are going to disappear sooner or later.
Yeah. Moment it's off Game Pass, it's just off. You can't play it at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, actually, no, that's not. Oh, no, that's not true. So if you downloaded a game off of Game Pass and then say the following month it was removed from Game Pass, provided you still have it installed on your console and still are paying for Game Pass, you will still be able to play that game. You just can't. If you delete the game and then the game disappears off Game Pass, obviously you won't be able to get that game again. But as long as it's installed, you'll still be able to play it.
I actually think it's funny we brought this topic up to Shelby's grandmother while we were having dinner earlier, and she just went completely off on it. That was hilarious. She's just like, I hate digital distribution of media. It's so stupid, and they can control exactly what you see, when you see it, how you see it. They could charge outrageous prices. Like, just went on for 10 minutes. I was like, damn, maybe we should just get you on the show.
She also went off about how they don't pay actors and they don't have the right, and that it shouldn't even be in the contract, and that they should get paid properly, and that they absolutely should not use their likeness no matter what they sign, and that laws change and something in 1993 can't be applied to 2023. Yeah, she's epic.
Like, I actually choked on my... I was like, if I didn't know any better, Candace, I would think we had you on the show already.
Yeah, that's.
I was like, do you secretly watch us and you're just not telling us?
I hope not.
So I got a question for you, Ollamh. Are you going to be streaming the upcoming Star Trek game on Tuesday when it releases?
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because I'm always hesitant to buy things right the minute that they come out, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of which, when I get back to Virginia, I have a copy of Tears of the Kingdom waiting for me, apparently.
You don't know?
Well, my brother bought it, so, there's always the chance that he could decide to be petty and keep it.
But yeah.
Hey, I got it. Do you have a harp?
Do what?
Do you have a harp?
A harp? No.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you were saying, does Ollamh have a heart? And I'm like,
no, I know he doesn't have it.
That's mean.
We've tested that one.
I was actually going to say the same thing. It's like, well, no. If he was asking if I have a heart, no. If I have a harp, also no.
Y'all are friendships.
No, it's we were looking up the channel on Shelby's Roku, and one of the results was the Ollamh harp. Apparently, it's like an old D&D bardic item, and I was like, well, shit.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently it gives you access to several things, including Firestorm and Flights, and all this other shit, boosts your bardic inspiration. I was like, well, okay, good item to know.
Yeah.
But then the commenter was like, I don't know how practical it is, because you're carrying a full-size harp into battle. I was like, have you ever heard of a bag of holding?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my ex's fiance, back when I was writing the D&D campaign for them, he wanted to be that ridiculous. He's like, I want a full-size harp and a cello and a full-size church organ. And I was like, I can absolutely make sure that you can carry that, actually.
Bag of holding with an opening big enough to walk into?
Well, it was just like a bag of holding, but then also I found an obscure rule in the edition he was using where a bard can use an ability to where they can basically make phantom versions of any instrument that they know how to play, and then they can just summon an orchestra at will. I was like, well, you could just do that.
Seems like a bit much, but...
When has a bit much ever deterred us?
Well,
it's true.
Fair enough.
I'm just gonna throw this out here. I imagine if y'all all got together and made a rule book, it would be the most intricate, off the wall, chaotic rule book I have ever read in my life. And it would make sense, but you'd have to read it from beginning to end at least twice.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then you'd have to turn it backwards and read the book upside down because we've hidden messages through it.
Oh yeah. And codes and invisible ink.
Reminds me of that book we found earlier. The Illustrated Guide to Torture.
It was a pop-up book. Very creative.
It had inserts and historical documents of people being ordered to be executed through torture. I was like, okay.
Right.
You can find a lot of fun stuff in my secondhand bookstores. I'm just saying.
Sounds like it. Of course, secondhand bookstores, no matter what, are always an interesting time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I found a book that I almost bought just for the stream tonight, which was The League of Problematic Villains.
Yes.
It is all the most obscure and probably not well thought out villains that DC has ever created.
Huh.
Actually, I don't think it was just DC, because I think they had a Punisher villain in there too.
They did.
Yeah, they had Dr. Voodoo, Dr. Apocalypse, Dr. Zombie.
A lot of doctors.
Yeah.
gonna say, it's like, man, be a villain, you have to go through like 8 years of college.
By the way, why is that? Yes, there's some heroes that have degrees, but like Spider-Man hadn't even graduated like high school in the original, right? Or like early college. He was smart, but like he had no degrees. But if you hear Dr. Blank, for like 7 years, they were always a villain with at least like 2 PhDs. Why was that?
Not true. It's because Dr. Reed doesn't sound great, or Dr. Richards rather. And yeah, because Reed Richards is an asshole.
Well, so is Doctor Strange, but I'm just saying, like...
See, there it is.
What is it with all these doctors in Marvel being assholes?
That's what it is. The moment you become a doctor, you have to be an asshole.
Well, that's the Marvel version. If you're a doctor in DC, you have to become a villain.
Yeah,
which doesn't necessarily make you an asshole, but...
Well, that's true. But then, like, there are characters that have PhDs, but they don't go by doctor, and they're fine. Like, okay, Tony Stark is an asshole, but he doesn't go by doctor, and he was considered a hero, so...
Well, technically, we have an interesting version in DC, because we have Harley.
Right, we have Harley. More of an anti-hero, isn't she?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, is when she went by doctor, she became a villain and a total asshole for a while. Then she dropped the doctor and eventually got better.
Yeah?
I mean, she didn't go by Dr. Harley Quinn, though.
No. Although I do find it funny that we found that page from the Poison Ivy series where Ivy was hallucinating Dr. Harley Quinn's own. I was like, this is how I know I fucked up.
Yeah, that's fair.
She's like, I'm getting ready to go out on a date with Harley, and my guilt is manifesting in the form of Harley, or Dr. Harley. I might need help, but I'm not doing that right now.
I feel like Ivy, depending on which version you're talking about, though, she prioritizes. Because, like, Ivy's like, I could die, I could take over the world, I could turn you into Rose Plant and kill you, or I could go out with my girlfriend for drinks. Okay, we'll deal with that later. I can respect that.
Now, one interesting idea that I thought of earlier today when I was thinking about this topic and stuff, and the idea of distribution of media. Do you realize exactly how far we are getting into basically just being a subscription-based society?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna, but I felt it was too cynical for that point of the conversation. That even our friendships nowadays are becoming subscription-based.
You mean like, who do I follow and who do I not?
Well, who do you follow? Who do you not? There's,
apps to use.
We had 2 years where you couldn't meet anybody in person, so everybody you met was over an app that you had to pay for.
Yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of the fact that, well, things like, the Hello Fresh, the Bright Sellers, the Dollar Shave Club, all of this stuff where it's like, no, you just pay us X amount per month and we will send you stuff when we think you need it.
Which, I love the backwards logic with it. It's kind of hypocritical. We're going to deliver everything to your home so you don't have to move. You don't have to do anything but wait. But you still need to go out and work to get the money to pay us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Go ahead, Ollamh.
All right. Well, yeah, I was thinking like my brother used to, or I think my brother still is part of one of these shave clubs, and it's like, okay, so they give you the razor and all this stuff. It's like, how do they know when you're out? Oh, well, they give, it's so many days worth. They plan that each blade set will last you X amount of days. It's like, so if you don't shave as much, you're just stockpiling blades, and it's like that. That's just
yeah.
At that
When
point,
when I stopped that service, I wound up giving in the whole bunch of popped off the used razor I had, gave the thing to my dad with a stockpile of razors I had. I had switched to basically a Korean brand at that point, and I have to mail order the stuff.
Yeah. My Hubble subscription used to do that. I wouldn't wear my contacts for a while, and I'd still get the regular shipments, and then eventually I was sitting on like 4 months worth of contacts, and just like, okay.
Yeah, it's like at that point, just cancel the subscription and just write out what you got. It's like, hey.
That's kind of what I used to do. It's just like, all right, I got extra. And see, the problem with it is a lot of these subscription services, especially like Hubble and that, they make it a bitch to cancel or even like pause a delivery. So as much as you want to, you can't.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing as far as like a lot of the gyms and stuff, that it's like, oh yeah, signing up, super easy. Canceling, that's gonna take a bit of that's gonna take an act of God.
3 months to cancel my subscription to Planet Fitness.
It just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, like I called them and I was like, look, I can't afford this anymore. I need to cancel it. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll cancel. And then they called me back and they're like, well, why haven't you made a payment? I was like, I canceled my subscription. Like, no, you didn't. You put it on pause. I was like, no, I canceled. Take me off. Then another month later, hey, you haven't made it payments in like 2 months. Well, we're going to have to charge you for that. And if you miss your payment this time, we're going to have to send it to collections. It's like, I canceled 3 months ago. What are you putting?
I had that issue with my insurance company at one point. But you'll like this. I called them telling them I wanted to cancel, and they told me to just let payments lapse. And then they called me up and threatened to take me to collections.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, just let your payments lapse, we'll cancel you, don't worry about it. But then we'll also charge you, for all that money that you missed paying us, plus all the litigation fees. And
Oh, I escalated it, and I got them to say, okay, we'll stop, because I know how to threaten someone on another tier. Pretend you have more legal, resources at your fingertips than you actually do. Done.
Oh, yeah. I had to do that with a spam caller that kept calling me about this vitamin supplement. And they're like, you ordered it. I was like, I have not ordered any such thing because A, I don't believe in them. And B, I'm broke. I've been broke for about 3 years now. So what are you talking about? And they called 3 or 4 times. And like finally, the last one was like, look, I've told you 3 times. I know this is a scam. I haven't signed up for anything. I've never heard of your service. I have no part of your service. If you call me again, I will be forcing this into legal action, and you really don't want that. Haven't heard from him since.
All you have to do is prove that you're too much trouble for them.
Yep.
I think one of the most bizarre things, though, is some of the things they try to get you to subscribe to. Like, okay, Planet Fitness, insurance, you're like, okay, you can kind of see, like, the idea, at least, behind it. And some people really do need that, or they'll use it a lot, and you're like, okay. But they will try to make you sign up for the most obscure monthly, bi-monthly subscriptions ever. Like, I had one to, get fresh tea once, and it was like, okay, I drink a lot of tea, it was a gift, then I paid for it for a few months, it was nice. But, like, there's just weird stuff out there. My friend had one, and she got random socks sent to her once a month. Socks. Mm-hmm. No idea what they were going to look like, no idea what size they were going to be, just socks. It wasn't even like a legitimate size, like, oh, I wear a size like 8 in women's or something. No. One time she got socks that were way too big, another time she got small socks, another time she got one blue fuzzy sock and one green, like, cotton sock. Made no damn sense. I was like, why would they want you to subscribe to this to begin with?
Somewhere out there's a Sushi of the Month club.
Yeah, why? I don't understand. And then, if you want to cancel, she canceled 17 times. 17. It sounds like a scam. I'm like, what is this?
Boys, I know what we should do. We're going to make this a subscription-based podcast.
Oh, gods.
Oh, no, there's enough of those out there. Gee. Oh no, there's like there are people that legitimately like they would do something they would do something like this, but it's like it's a Patreon tier thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to have you have to pay $10 a month into the Patreon in order to access it. And it's like that always just anytime you put content behind a paywall like that, it's like that feels very skeezy.
Blah.
Yeah, well, then you get the ones who like hit you with an interesting topic, and then they go halfway through it, and they're like, "And if you want to hear the rest of this, go onto my Patreon and pay me $200." Fuck you.
I feel like even if I was one of those people that had a lot of money, which we all know I'm not, I don't care enough to pay ridiculous prices for something like that. I'm like, are you the next Albert Einstein? Have you proven anything? No? Then why do I care that much about what you're saying? You know what I mean? I'm like, it has to be something I'm already invested in.
Better idea. We'll become a subscription-based podcast, but we'll be the modern-day Diogenes. You have to pay to shut us up.
Oh my gosh. Reminds me of people at the fair that you pay to insult you.
Mm-hmm. We'll just make it like a 24/7 live stream. We'll just us talking. It's like, dear God, when do you shut up? Pay $50 on the Patreon.
We'll go silent for 4 hours if we reach over $5,000 by the end of this month. Thank you and have a great day. On other news.
Yeah. It's like $50 gets you a minute of silence. One whole solid 60 seconds.
Our families haven't gotten that in 26 years.
There's a Black Mirror episode like that.
Doesn't surprise me.
I was gonna say, there's at this point, isn't there pretty much a Black Mirror episode of just about every weird and crazy thing that actually happens?
Have they done a meta episode yet?
Isn't the whole show kind of a meta episode?
You know, sometimes I think about shows that do like internet culture and shit, and I'm just reminded of that really bad CSI New York episode where they went into Second Life.
They what?
Yeah, they had a murder, and like these guys have never met. Like they've never known each other in person, but they talk all the time. Like, well, where did they meet? And they're like, Second Life. I was like, oh no,
Oh, dear.
no, please no.
You know, on the one hand, I can't talk because I managed to get my apartment in Chicago back in the mid-aughts through a World of Warcraft social connection.
Well, I mean, I can barely talk because if it wasn't for Second Life, I wouldn't be on here.
Yeah.
I was never in the Second Life craze, but I do remember having to block people from Tumblr because the poetry porn letters started becoming popular. I don't know if y'all were there for that.
It doesn't sound familiar.
You would like randomly get these letters posted and they would be very poetic, but it would be very graphic. And what was worst is usually they were pretty vague, but every once in a while you get one that would have like an intimate detail that's like they know you in real life. Yeah, it was weird. A little stalkerish, but pretty accurate for, stuff like that.
Yeah, that the stalkerish in Second Life. Yeah, that doesn't terribly surprise me.
Oh, yeah, I told you about that episode a couple weeks ago, didn't I?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. God, that was so fun. I mean, like, I don't know what was funnier, just the name and the person and the personality, or the fact that I got an entire Discord server pinging me like, oh my God, you gotta come check this person out.
See,
and like the one who initially pinged me was the one who has been defending that person since the incident.
See, that's one of the things that just it shows exactly how out of tune with reality that Mark Zuckerberg really is. with his metaverse, and it's like, oh, we're gonna have this and this and this and this, and it's like, yeah, that's Second Life. Every time he's talking about adding something else, it's like, it's called Second Life. It already exists, Mark.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not gonna outdo it because you're still struggling to show legs.
I'm waiting for the you can have sex. And we're just like, you mean Slex? That's been a thing for over 20 years.
I still loved one of the I don't know what the hell it was, and it wasn't like E3. It was something to do with Zuckerberg, and he was talking about the Quest 2 and all the stuff that he's bringing out and blah blah blah. And it was the most painful half hour to an hour video I've ever watched, because he's being interviewed by this girl who I would assume is working for him anyway. And the conversation was so stupid. It felt like he was just a mindless drone answering questions, and it was so fake. Like, I mean, it literally looked like he was reading off of a teleprompter. And she was like asking him, oh, do you play video games? He's like, yes. During COVID, me and my friends played a lot of video games on the Quest 2. It is an amazing headset. And I'm like, you probably don't even know how to turn it on. Let's be fair. You probably don't even know how your own Quest 2 works.
Sure, he does.
It was so funny because
baby.
I'm watching this on this YouTuber's channel, and she literally said the exact same thing I was thinking. It's like, you're Mark Zuckerberg. Why would you need to play a video game during COVID lockdown? You're probably swimming in your money being a douchebag. Like, I mean, let's be fair. Like, I don't.
Well, now see, that's the thing. It's not so much, well, why would you need to play video games? It's like, well, I mean, even if you had as much money as he does, you'd still be playing video games.
I just don't think that he plays video games, period. I just think that it's carbon copy. He's like reading off of a teleprompter.
Oh, he has no personal...
He's trying to make himself sound... I feel like he's trying to make himself relatable with the people watching the video, because he kept on saying that he's a pro at Beat Saber, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right, okay.
Oh, I could totally believe that. I totally believe that.
Hold on. Let's be fair to Zuckerberg, okay? I can guarantee you he was not swimming during COVID. Lizards are cold-blooded.
Yes. His thing as far as being, I'm great at Beat Saber. I have no doubt about that, because it doesn't require any.
I'm not.
It's all based on just rhythm and just, when you see this, you do this. It's simple input output.
Yeah, I am not going to. I'm not going to respond with my response to that, because I think you know where I'm going with this one.
I mean,
but, I'm pretty sure he's good at beating something. Yeah. I don't know, but you have to watch this video. I mean, like, everybody who watched it was just howling, laughing at just his carbon copy responses to everything. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying you don't think he knows how to turn it on. Sure he does. Picks it up with his little baby hands. He fumbles with it for a while, breaks it, cries, gets a new one, picks it up, gives it to his assistant. She turns it, puts it on her head.
There you go. That's probably how it happened. Yeah. But no, it was around the time when he was trying to promote Meta. So when Meta first came out and he was trying to promote it, but at the same time when he was trying to promote Meta in the video, he's also talking about the latest Quest 2 games coming out, blah, 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 blah. And it just went on and on and on. And he was talking about how they're releasing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas in VR for the Quest 2 and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, like, who really asked for that game in VR? How many?
Buddy who wanted
come on. Like, nobody even plays the old Grand Theft Autos anymore. Like, who sat around going, gee, I hope Grand Theft Auto San Andreas comes out for VR, because that's totally what I want to play in VR.
To be fair on that, if you look at certain apps, there's nothing there. Like, Pong was actually brilliant in its creation with its simplicity, but I've seen so many apps that supposedly are based on older games, and there's nothing there. There's no creativity, there's no innovation, there's no appeal, there's nothing. I don't know why people download them. I've downloaded them before just to see how crap they are, but like, there's nothing.
Nostalgia.
Okay, nostalgia's great, babe, but then play the original game. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
Like Pong is still good. Pong has history and entertainment value.
You know what I do when I want to play Pong? I go play ping pong.
Well, there, see, that's my point exactly.
I mean, there are some games that if when done right are actually really good remastered. Like, I mean, Full Throttle remaster, Day of the Tentacle, that kind of stuff. Those were good. But I mean, then there's other ones, like, I hate to say it, but I've actually played Roberta Williams' version of Colossal Cave, and I would rather play the original. It's just, she's modernized it too much. It's great, I guess, for a new generation, but I don't know. It just feels too modernized. It feels like it lost its charm now with her version.
Well, that's kind of the problem that you have with modernizing anything, is there are going to be people who are like, hey, this isn't the same game. It's kind of it's kind of the back. It's the other side of nostalgia. You remake something, make it look brand new, make it look modern and stuff, and there are going to be people who are going to look at it and be like, this isn't the game that I grew up loving. This is something completely different. It's
exactly.
Like, that's kind of the point, though, is that they're trying to make it accessible to a whole new generation.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Yeah, people often forget that there are two sides to nostalgia. It's not always good.
There's an upside and a downside.
But I completely agree with y'all that some things they can be used and remixed, remastered, revisioned, where it still pays homage and it gives you that nostalgia and it's well done. And there's other things they need to be left alone. They try to remake everything now, and certain things I'm like, okay, in the 80s this was great. Nowadays this storyline is not good for the modern picture. Like, stop.
Yeah.
So you know what? I thought of something, and Ollamh, you're gonna run down this road with me whether you like it or not. We're gonna go back to the metaverse for a second.
Okay.
So like you and I just said, everything they said in the metaverse, new and exciting and shiny, they already did in Second Life.
Yeah.
So going to distribution and how everything is becoming subscription based and everything else. Remember that Second Life at one point was the biggest collection, place you could find basically digital sex workers anywhere. That's going to happen in the metaverse.
Oh no, well, metaverse is already pretty much dead at this point.
I know, but imagine if it did. Because I was sitting here thinking, okay, there's going to be someone that's interested in it, but then Second Life literally made it as easy as point and click. You don't even have to type, just point, click, watch. And then somebody's going to try that in VR. Nobody is going to want to put that much effort into it.
No, I agree with Ollamh. I remember reading an article recently that said that the metaverse is basically fucked. Like they're not making any money off of any of it, and it's just going the way of the dodo bird. Like,
there's no way to be productive there. There's no use of your time. There's no goals.
Well, that's what we're saying. Is the moment they announce it, like, hey, it's the metaverse. It's the first virtual reality where you can chat and meet people and have an avatar, and we're all like, no, that's Second Life. We've been doing this, man. Like, the only difference is now put on an uncomfortable headset and maybe trip over a dog.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to do that, I just put Second Life in mouse look.
Right? Yeah, it's like, it's just, yeah. I don't know why he was. I still to this day don't get why he was like, oh yes, this is gonna be trend setting. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna change everything. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's gonna change everything.
And okay, this is probably just very biased and old school or lame, whatever. Isn't the point partially of a virtual reality that it's not reality? I mean, yeah, you want it realistic in some things, you don't want everything to be cheesy, you want to have options. But typically, when you talk about these games, when you talk about these platforms, it's an escape from your regular life and a different way to connect. If you make it exactly like real life, for example, tripping over, what's the damn point? I mean, I don't get it. Like, what's the appeal in making it so realistic that it's not supposed to have any difference?
Well, that's easy. In real life, I don't have tits, and I'm also not an 8-foot Amazon.
But see, that's the point. That's the point with with Zuckerberg's metaverse, though. It wasn't, oh, hey, you can make your avatar whatever you want. It's no. You can make your avatar that's just like you. It's like, why?
Thank you. My point.
I'm going to admit I did try to make my Second Life avatar like me. I failed miserably.
I cannot make my Second Life avatar like me. I tried it once. But if you try to make an avatar 5'7" in Second Life, it looks like a 12-year-old. And a 12-year-old with a beer gut running around with demon horns does not work.
Yeah. Their height scale is very, very weird.
Oh yeah, I know. We used to get comments on you all the time, remember?
I mean, if you're building stuff, it's not too bad. It's basically, I think what I figured out was everything needs to be twice as big as the real world equivalents. Like when I was making buildings, if it's like, okay, this wall should be about 2 meters tall. It's like, make it 4. Yeah.
And that's basically what it was with the avatars. If you want someone who looks realistically to be about 5 foot, 6 foot tall, you'd have to make it 6 or 7 feet tall. Oh, excuse me, meters. We use meters in Second Life.
Yeah, same thing with Blender. It's although at least with Blender you can actually change it so that it is imperial measurements rather than.
I mean, you could do certain aspects of Second Life, but there's a difference between editing your shape and switching it from meters to feet, and then, like you said, going to building. Because then it's just like, nah, this is all meters, bro.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, that's the good part, at least with as far as doing it in Blender. It's like, if you want to, you can set everything so that it's, instead of saying, okay, well, I needed this 1 meter, you can actually set it so that it is imperial units and actually type in so many inches. I think you can actually even without that, you can type in 24 inches and it'll calculate it out into meters.
Yeah.
It's so much more user-friendly than.
I just got irritated when they were like, you can import your Blender things into Second Life. I was like, cool, and then it just never worked for me. So it's like, nope, never mind.
Yeah, it's that takes some work. That takes a lot of work.
I will be the first to admit, I don't have a lot of patience, which is kind of why I keep giving up on Blender.
Yeah, getting used to Blender, yeah, that takes some time.
That's why I stick to writing erotica.
That being said, I have going through the just the principled BDSF node in Blender for the live stream actually helped me a lot, because it's like there were a lot of stuff that I'm like, I have no idea, what the hell is this? What does it do? It's like, and actually having to sit down and read it and then play around with it. It's like, oh, okay, that's what this does. All right, that makes sense. But yeah, Blender does have a pretty big
learning curve to it. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I should just get you on video call with these guys to help you prepare for class. She was telling me earlier, she's like, my new class, I have to make videos and I have to appear on camera, and I hate that. And I was like, well, you're gonna have to learn.
Well, I don't mind hanging out with you guys. I don't mind doing voice, but like I don't like how I look on camera. And
yeah.
Well, like I already hated Zoom calls that I had to do during the pandemic. And I don't mind my voice too much, but like I don't like seeing my voice reflected back in a video and seeing how I react, and like it's very foreign for me. So
do you know how long it took me to come to terms with the fact that not only do I have a lisp, which makes my mouth move weird, but that I have a nervous tick that my nose twitches?
I think it's cute that your nose twitches.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, everybody keeps trying to convince me to do YouTube and do book reviews, and I don't know.
You know what?
Y'all are more than I am.
One thing that I would suggest is if you do ever try and do something like that, record something like that, have Caden edit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then you're not sitting there watching yourself on the video, editing it for, you know, up to an hour or so for like a 15-minute video. It's like, yeah, that is a big problem that is tough to get through, because it's like, yeah, because you're literally just sitting there looking at yourself. It's like, oh, why did I do that? No.
Yeah. He and I can both attest that, like, we'll watch footage back, and then you'll notice jokes fall flat, or just your body language doesn't match up. So you're sitting like, I need to cut this, but I don't want to re-record it. So do I leave it? Do I just cut that out entirely? What do I do? Yeah.
Like, I think technology is amazing, but the fact that I'm required to do videos is psyching me out of it.
Well, that's what I mean, if you send them to me, if you can edit them, and you don't have to send them in RAW. If you send them to me, that way you have somebody who knows you and your natural reactions, so I know where to cut things, and because I'll know when you're starting to get nervous, when you're going to ramble. So I'll just be like, babe, you need to re-record this entire section.
That's fair.
Smirnoff up the nose. Lovely.
Green apple smear.
I haven't done that in ages.
Huh.
Well, thank you for the advice. Yeah, I'm a nerd and I school, and that's cool. That's fine. But
another piece of advice. And again, Ollamh probably has better advice than I do, because I started out completely rookie. When you're getting used to talking to the camera, just put a picture on it.
A picture?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you don't look into the camera, but if you use a picture, especially if it's someone you know, you get to where you'll focus on their eyes, so you're making natural eye contact, and it'll help you relax because you're talking to someone and not just at a camera.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was about to say the exact same thing, like put a picture of like a person or a group of people, like basically right behind the camera, so that you're looking maybe just a little bit above the camera, but you're not just focusing on, hey, here's this big lens that I'm looking into, and just I learned to basically picture a group of people about where the camera is, so that I can actually talk to so that I'm actually basically picturing myself talking to somebody.
Yeah. Eventually, it gets to the point where you don't have to worry about it, because like you'll just stare at the camera and you'll just immediately replace it with whoever you want to be talking to.
So I'll sound like my normal rainbow psycho self instead of like an anxious rainbow psycho.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, that was another thing I was going to say is she had to do video, or not video, recording audio for class.
Yeah,
like they
I've
had her
to
do a podcast. And she handed it to me. She's like, this is what I turned in. What do you think? And I was like, do you want my opinion as a boyfriend or as an editor?
And I said as a boyfriend, because it was my first time ever doing it. And Yeah, it's not up on par with like what y'all do. But considering it was my first time ever doing it and I had to be 15 minutes long.
Yeah, in typical Shelby fashion, she's like, give me the boyfriend opinion first. It's like, as a boyfriend, it's great, babe. You did a wonderful job. You're very brave, and I love you.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, give me the editor. I was like, holy shit, you read that entire script, didn't you?
See, that's
I edited it for like 6 hours. That's what he gave me.
I can understand that. I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's one of the things that people don't understand when they're people who want to get into voice acting and stuff like that, is they forget the acting part. It's like,
yeah,
they just think of it as, oh well, I just have to read this line with this voice. It's like, no, you are acting.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do.
Somewhere out there, in the darkest depths of the internet, on a website called Entity, there is a video that I did a voice acting bit in. You're never going to know it's me because he slowed it.
And Caden just disconnected. Oh, there we go.
There we are.
But he actually got angry because, like, he gave me the lines and he gave me the character. It was a fan work, so I was supposed to be Wolf O'Donnell from the Star Fox series. Wolf has a very distinct way of speaking, but he wanted a specific voice actor that was doing Wolf, so I had to like go in and I looked up all the lines he's done as Wolf and like got his cadence down, his mannerisms, like does he show anger when he talks like this? Is he smug? Is he intelligent? All that, and I got it down. And I did like the best vocal impression of that I could with all the mannerisms and everything. And he's like, you don't sound like the character. That's not how I want you to read it. Read it exactly like the script was written. I was like, that's great, but English is your fourth language.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, and I think another difficult for me is I was never the actress. Like, I helped other people run lines, and I video recorded them, and I helped them with their impressions and their... I was always, like, the behind the stage and, like, a support girl. So I don't know how to act. I, like, know conceptually, like, what's supposed to happen, but I have no experience whatsoever doing it.
Well,
have you ever...
That's you actually do have a little bit of a little bit of a good side to the fact that you're doing it as yourself.
This is taking an interesting turn tonight.
Sorry.
No worries. No, it's
actually, admittedly, the one who could probably give you the best advice as far as vocal goes is probably Raz.
Well, what I was
literally his job.
What I was going to say is you have to remember, you're not acting as somebody else. You are acting as yourself.
Any advice, Raz?
Honestly, what I do is basically channel someone else's performances I've seen. Like, I will literally, if I'm pretending to be a British character, I will pretend to be John Cleese or John Oliver. So, also, was anyone able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I had some issues with this headset the other day.
At least I can hear you.
Right. But yeah, the best way to do it is just pretend for a moment you are a certain person who does the role well and act like them.
Oh, that's the problem. Speaker turned off for some reason, so we didn't hear any of that.
Okay, let's try
that
this again.
Explains a lot.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so here's what you do.
Okay.
I channel other people. Like, if I am going to, as an example, I was in a LARP years ago where I was playing a British character.
Okay.
And I basically channeled John Oliver. If I was being a smartass, I probably would have channeled John Cleese, but I channeled a low intelligence version of John Oliver. Because I just had to remember I had different priorities. I was playing a character from the 12th century who had no business being in the 21st century. when I'm doing something as a comedy bit, I've seen the bit before, and I just try and channel the other people I've seen do the bit. Like, it's channeling whoever has done the performance best that you remember. And that's literally how I've done any acting, voice acting or otherwise, over the last several decades.
Yeah. And that's basically what I was saying too, is if you know that you want a certain inflection or attitude, trying to think of somebody that you might logically play. I don't know. Like when we were doing D&D, you wanted to play that rogue assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like then you just go in and you think, all right, well, who are my favorite heroes or anti-heroes that embody this? Like, did you want it to be sneaky and kind of femme fatale? Well, then I would suggest, Black Widow. Like, maybe you go for the Scarlett Johansson, maybe you go for the comic books, whichever one works for you. Or like, that's what you think of, and that's what you try to pattern yourself off of.
Okay.
And obviously it's easier if you have someone who gave like a live performance with mannerisms and everything. So like,
yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how I first started doing it?
Yes, please.
When I was in high school, we had to take something that was in English and translate into Spanish as a sketch. It was the 90s, and so most people were doing like the Goat Boy off of Saturday Night Live or things like that. I grabbed a friend who wasn't in the class who agreed to do the performance with me. We wound up doing a Spanish version of Michelangelo and the Last Supper from Monty Python.
I love that.
The other students had no idea what was going on, and the teacher looked on in horror because this was Mattoon.
I did similar because in German we had to do sketches and act this out and use your vocabulary. And me and another guy decided we were going to be two inept movers, like those two bros who got drunk and decided to install a hot tub. So we had to be like, all right, who do we channel for that? And I was like, Three Stooges, obviously. Prime slapstick right there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. See, I didn't do anything cool like that. I took Latin.
I would honestly
You just
suggest...
channel a skeleton.
Yeah, just honestly, I would say I recommend Monty Python channeling and trying to reenact sketches as a practice, but that's for two reasons. One, I love Python. And two, comedy and managing to not burst out laughing when saying your lines is some of the most difficult acting out there.
Okay, so we actually do this fairly regularly, you and I. You just haven't realized it. Every time you and I quote Heathers.
Excellent example.
Oh, okay.
Because see, you notice that when you quote JD, you'll often misquote or get the timing wrong, and then I come in and I just hit it beat for beat. That's because I've been doing that for ages.
Well, I don't misquote. I just don't get the emphasis. I know Heather's, but you're right. I don't get the emphasis you do.
The same coin. I'll go and try to say a Chandler quote, and I was like, no, I do not know those words.
No.
I am not Heather Chandler. I could not be that much of a stuck-up bitch if I tried.
Thanks.
No, that's actually saying something, considering, again, my second life character is a stuck-up bitch. She's a queen, a literal goddess, and she's a stuck-up bitch. And I still can't hit Heather Chandler.
Fair. She is a
I was going to say, one of the other things that you have to remember as far as doing the acting and stuff is you have to remember that you're the as opposed to playing a very specific character, you are literally playing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things where, for me, it's like, okay, what I usually wind up asking myself, okay, what type of person, what type of qualities do I want to put forward as far as just doing a regular video or something like that. It's like, what kind of identify what type of qualities you want to see and almost create a specific character yourself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how you have a work personality and like a life personality.
Exactly like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll use that video that we brought up earlier, talking to your grandmother. The one that is the earliest appearance of you on my YouTube.
Yeah.
Where you're just a disembodied voice yelling, "Fuck you."
You took it out of context.
No. What I'm saying is, if you watch that video and you watch how like me and Steve and Henderson are just goofing around, and it comes off as really forced and cheesy, that's because we're trying to be us, like with each other, but record it. So it comes off as like really forced because we're not trying to relax or, show a specific quality. We're just trying to show, hey, this is a really funny group, but it doesn't work because the three of us have no chemistry. But then you watch my new stuff and you realize like I come across as calm, collected, confident, I know what I'm doing. And that's because I am 100% bullshitting that.
Well, I was going to say it's because you'll have organic, conversation, but...
No, I mean like my solo stuff, like on the YouTube.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm
yes,
100% bullshitting that.
I'm 50% sure he's bullshitting most of the time.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, thank you all for all your advice. You guys are awesome.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is it's like everybody started off trying to figure this out for themselves originally anyway. It everybody had to take time to find their own style, their own personality, basically work personality, if you will. A lot of what I put forward in videos and live streams is very, very far from the actual me. I think Rasslin can actually attest to that.
Attest to that to a degree.
Because usually I'm not. Usually, if I'm when I'm in a situation, potentially around a lot of people, I don't actually talk that much. I tend to be very, very reserved, and it's like, but here it's like I'm essentially putting on a character of some sort. So it's just like, okay, so yeah, normal me would be like this, but Ollamh is like this.
So, are you telling me that you're actually an introvert?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, it's the same thing with me. I mean, Caden takes charge, overtakes conversations. It's generally an annoying asshole, but people love him. But then you get me, can't look people in the eye, hates being a guest in other people's house because I feel like I'm intruding, and doesn't like to be a burden on people.
Okay.
sounds very, very familiar.
I have a feeling if the three of us ever did meet up, we'd like half the conversation would be us looking down and be like, okay, so
Introverts unite. I'll make snaps.
Separately in your own homes. That should be our motto. That's the channel motto right there.
Wow, how did we get? We've already covered a lot. It's like, wow, I'm thinking back to where we started. It's like,
to be fair, we really did cover the topic pretty well, except for one thing I think we need to address.
Mm-hmm.
The HBO incident where several people, animators and such, had their work on HBO's cloud streaming service, and then suddenly it was gone and they had no way to show their work.
Oh yeah.
No way to, put it on their resume.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes with what we were saying earlier, is that the contracts and everything are ridiculous because they can do things like that. If they decide that your media should be pulled for any reason, they don't have to give you warning. They don't have to give you a backup or anything.
Oh,
they just yoink it.
Yeah, Disney's from what I've heard is actually planning on doing that. Like they're taking Willow off. They're taking a bunch of stuff off to save costs.
I actually heard of that the other today actually, and they also have announced that they're shutting down the Star Wars hotel, which is no real shock to anybody given that it's $6,000 a night to stay there.
Yeah.
Apparently, it didn't do very well. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. Your normal Star Wars fan doesn't have that much money.
No. And they have actually announced they're permanently shutting it down and tearing it down. September 1st is the final day.
I wish they would repurpose it in some way.
I'm not sure they could really repurpose something like that, because it's like this was it was basically you are staying in in a cabin on this big Starliner type thing, and I don't know if they could repurpose it.
It's less like so I've watched YouTubers do it, and it's less like a hotel and more like an adventure, because each day you have to go there prepared to not just spend the night and that's it, because if you do that, you're wasting your money, because the entire point of that hotel is that each day you wake up in that hotel, you have things to do. You have an itinerary. You have to go to engineering, and you have to do stuff in engineering. You have to go on the bridge, do stuff on the bridge. There's so much shit you have to do. Yeah. And so when you're on board this hotel, quote unquote hotel, starship, whatever, you are tasked with jobs to do. So you have to go there like it's an role-playing game, essentially. You have to go there and be prepared for your role, and that is why it was that was why, in their opinion, that's why it was $6,000 a night, was because your food is covered in that cost. So you're not paying extra for any of the food. The food is covered in that cost. But then on top of that, there's one part where you get you do lightsaber training, and then you get to keep the lightsaber, and that's included in the cost as well. So there is a lot included in that cost. But at the same time, dude, as you said, who has $6,000 to spend on a hotel a night?
Yeah, like, it's a $6,000 a night LARP.
Yes. I know people who were desperately hoping to save up for it. I get why. It does sound like it was pretty awesome, but it's like it's a limited clientele.
Yeah.
I get why the price tag is there, but between the price tag, Gesundheit, and the fact that, let's face it, Disney is in a bit of a struggle right now with an entire state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, their new CEO is an idiot anyway. Like, I mean, he has no idea how he just thinks he can nickel and dime everybody and nobody's going to complain.
Well, now their current CEO. Which CEO are you talking about? Because their current CEO is Bob Iger, the old school.
I'm talking about the one who's not their CEO for Disney. I'm talking about the guy who is in charge of Disney World and all that kind of shit.
Oh,
because he's the one who wants to nickel and dime everybody. Like, I mean, from my understanding now, current Disney World and Disneyland, when you go to the resort, or not to the resort, the theme park, you're paying for the tickets, and then you're paying an extra $200 on top of that to install an app on your phone. Why you have to pay $200 for this stupid fucking app, I have no idea. But you have to install this app on your phone, which will then allow you to ride the rides. I'm like, well, why am I paying for a ticket and then paying for an app on top of the tickets? Why can't I just pay for a ticket like every other, like most
Universal or Six Flags,
like most theme parks in the past? Like, I mean, what?
See, now
put a stamp on my hand and be done with it.
Now, see, I would argue one point there as far as the Star Wars experience. They weren't they broke away from the nickel and diming. It's everything up front, and then you just do the thing. Nickel and diming allows people to decide whether something is worth the cost to do it. But with the Star Wars Cruiser experience, it's $6,000 a night. You pay up, you pay all this money up front. What you decide to go and do that's up to you, but better do as much as you can in order to make it worth your while. Nickel and diming works because, it's, hey, do you want to go to, do you want to go to one of the few bars in Disney World and get a drink? Okay, it's going to be about 5 times the price outside of the theme park. Nobody says you have to have a drink, but if you want a drink, it's going to cost you. That's not a bad business model simply because of the fact that it's, people are choosy. People like saying, hey, you know what? I'd really like a drink. Yeah, I'll pay $20 for a simple mixed drink. There you go. I
honestly
really want the drink.
With DLC.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, nickel and diming has its pros and cons. I completely agree with you from a business standpoint. Not a bad model. That's why it still works. I think what really gets me with a lot of this, how would I put this? No, I'll just say it flat out: stealing, contract, no contract. It's not only taking their work for granted and their time and their resources and kind of insulting them, it's also destroying any portfolio they've been creating. And I know that, tech world is a little bit different than some of the traditional mediums, but it's still your portfolio. It's still your personal showcase of your work, which isn't only deeply personal, but also on a professional standpoint. That's how you get known. That's how you get jobs. That's how you get commissions. That's how you continue to make art for a living, depending on if it's a side job or something you do full time. So that greatly also upsets their future prospects at doing jobs because I think it was mentioned earlier, it kind of destroys their resume. They can say, oh yeah, I worked on it, but you can't see any of it. I can't tell you which part was mine because, they made me sign on this dotted line and slip something in there. And 4 years later, they're like, oh, you don't have rights to that.
You had to sign that in India.
Oh, that's okay. Speaking of this, I don't know if anybody else has seen this. I don't know how many voice actors you guys follow, but no, Netflix. All of their current contracts have a clause that says that they can, using any current or future technology developed anywhere in the universe for perpetuity, they can recreate your voice for any future project without consulting.
Yep.
I find that very disturbing that you're literally stealing someone's voice and they're trying to make it legal, but it's still stealing someone's voice. It's using it without express permission in that moment.
Does everybody remember those ads of you wouldn't download a car?
Yeah.
You're downloading entire fucking people, guys.
Seriously. Your image, your voice, it's really creepy.
Yeah, it's all the voice actors that I know have stated they're like, yep, never working with Netflix again. Fuck them. And yeah, it's insane what they're trying to get away with, and they're sneaking this stuff into the contract, saying, oh yeah, here's your standard contract, and it's like, anybody who's worked with them before, they're just like, oh, okay, and they're getting ready to sign it, and it's like, whoa, wait a second, no, have a lawyer read through that, have somebody read through that, please.
Well, and I think the most disturbing for me part is that they're acting like, oh, this is normal, this is standard. I'm like, no, it's not. Why are more people not alarmed by that? That's not normal. That's not standard. I was like, just because they're trying to legalize it does not mean that's okay. That's very invasive. Like it's very strange to me that there's even an argument out there like, oh, that's fine. I'm like, why do you think that's fine?
I can't help but wonder how long. Probably within the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see where it'll be interesting to see if people start to actually try and put a trademark or copyright on their image, their voice, and stuff like that. Because it's like, if they can get you to sign away that right, that means that you know, that would mean technically that you have the right to copyright that. Which means they have to pay you if they use that.
It goes back to the argument of selling versus buying too. They're like, well, they have a right to sell. I was like, that means that somebody has a right to buy. I have never seen someone morally, legally buy somebody else's voice, somebody else's, face. I'm like, that's not a thing to my knowledge,
Yeah.
I mean, technically, we've all been buying William Shatner's face since the late 1980s.
Okay, fair enough. But we didn't paste his face on ours.
Yeah. That's the thing. Technically we bought it, yes, but we're not
claiming the rights of him, though.
Yeah, we're not saying this is William Shatner. We're not saying that we are William Shatner. It's like that's.
We're not claiming his identity.
Exactly.
Why would you want to be William Shatner?
I'm just saying, I think it's different when you claim that part of their identity as your own versus I'm a fan. You can say, oh, I love, this person's voice. There's tons of musical artists. I love their voice, but I'm not going to use their voice and say, okay, guys, this is my new song.
Oh, actually, there is a one or two instances of somebody selling their voice.
Yep.
James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones sold the rights, willingly agreed to, for the company Respeaker, I think it's Respeaker or Respeecher, to basically do whatever they want with his voice for the role of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He actually did sell to them.
Well, at least it was voluntary.
Yeah, if he knows the implications and everything, then
yeah,
okay. And he has retired. We knew he was nearing the end of his life, still is, and at least something will live on. That is one of the few good cases I've heard of.
Yeah, as opposed to Mark Hamill, that, as far as I've heard, he didn't actually like really agree to any to the use of his face and stuff, as far as the de-aged stuff that they showed in the book of Boba Fett. He wasn't a part of any of that. They just basically invited him in so that they could show footage of him walking around on the set and seeing everything that was going on and stuff like that, and basically get an implied nod and, hey, everything's A-okay from him. Yeah. He didn't actually do anything for it.
But see,
I think that's my point, though. Is someone being coerced or tricked or pushed, or is someone willing and volunteering to do it? I think that's my issue.
The willing and volunteering is still dangerous because...
Oh, it's extremely dangerous.
He knows what he signed. He did it completely of his own free will, but that still means, whether he still be alive or after he passes, if they decide they want to put him in something that is completely against everything he stands for morally, he doesn't have a right to object anymore because he sold that away.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
That's the problem with the Netflix and the Disney clauses, where they're like, oh yeah, we can use this wherever we want. And it's like,
where we want, however we want.
Yeah, it should be, no, you can use my likeness for this character. Not like, oh hey, you can take this and, well, like they were talking about doing, what was it, 5-10 years ago now, that they were talking about doing a brand new movie with James Dean.
Yeah.
That makes my skin crawl, honestly.
Well, like when they were doing that hologram concert, and it was all hyped up, and they were like, we got a hologram of Tupac. Tupac's been dead for ages. He can't consent to that shit.
Or Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
They did the
Well, I have a feeling Michael Jackson would have consented because he was Michael Jackson.
But the fact stands is that, yeah. And I think there's a big difference in someone saying, like, okay, for example, to finish what we're doing with Darth Vader for this art, and saying, like, 80 years from now, oh yeah, you can use my voice for something, like Mark was saying, that's just completely against what he stood for, and legally you don't have a right to protest, or you're deceased, and so they're like, we can do whatever we want. I can't be cool with that.
Yeah, the limitless clauses, the limitlessness of the clauses is what's most disturbing. It's like, yeah, it really should. I mean, I think there should be a law that's like, okay, you can get them to agree for this character, but not like, oh, hey, we can use your voice wherever, whenever,
indefinitely.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Did anyone here ever read Transmetropolitan?
Ever read what?
Transmetropolitan.
No, not me.
Okay, so that's a Garth Ennis comic. And it has exactly a situation of that, but they took it even farther. So Transmetropolitan is basically, it's about a reporter named Spider Jerusalem. And he basically has got blacklisted from every news network except one, because he insists on telling the truth, capital T's everywhere, the truth. Which means he does whatever it takes, however it takes, whenever it takes, to get the truth of a matter. And as he's running through the world, they have pills that prevent cancer so you can smoke as much as you like, pills that prevent every STD so you can go out and have as much sex as you like. But they also have celebrities who have been dead for hundreds of years who sold away not just their likeness, but their genetic data. So they've been cloned for hundreds of years for anybody's usage. They have no rights.
Ugh. I'm going to bring up the Jurassic Park theory again and the iRobot theory and all those great theories I love. You don't jack with that because bad things happen. You know, all the crazy stuff that happens in sci-fi stuff, and they say that could never happen. There's a reason for that because we don't try to clone dinosaurs. And it happens, but we try to skirt around it. We don't reveal it. It gets busted on the news and they twist it. Just don't do that. Don't play with splicing 17 different types of DNA. Don't sell people's DNA existed. Like, just don't do it. Don't go there.
Don't forget that all birds are secretly government satellites.
Yeah.
No, that's like a friend of mine on Twitter was talking about the usage of AI to basically recreate somebody, you know, so that you could talk to this famous person and have interactions with this famous person and stuff. And it's like, oh well, you know, they don't have to necessarily agree to it. They just have to feed the AI with, you know, the way the person speaks and stuff like this, and it can be completely flawless and just, you know, it's a perfect representation of this person. And they were doing testing, and they're like, supposedly they had supposedly made sure that, like, oh no, it's not going to go into any kind of sexual stuff, but every time they tested it, sure enough, it just went in full tilt, and they're like, oh well. Yeah. I couldn't help but think of the Futurama episode. The one where Fry gets the robot of Lucy Liu.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole, you know, don't date robots. It's like, holy shit, that's actually going to become a fucking PSA, isn't it? It's like we're maybe 5 years out from that, from somebody actually having to make a fucking an actual PSA saying don't date AI.
Oh no, they already did. Because I saw a post earlier. I'm pretty sure it was a joke, but somebody had posted a screenshot of a game where they basically made, for lack of a better term, a waifu simulator. And then in the middle of it, it would ask you for your credit card data. And, like, people are actually going to fall for this. You realize this, right?
I mean, they already make jokes about it in films. Jack C came out, like, last year? And then, I mean, they start pulling that stuff, and you're asking either Splice or Psychopaths to happen. I'm like, they already showed you what can happen based on genetics and virology that we know of. Like, there's no reason that we need computers to do all the thinking for us and then add some DNA in. It's a bad idea.
We're just going to end up with Megan.
Yeah, that movie, that's not supposed to be the ideal. It's supposed to be entertainment. You're not supposed to actually want it.
So Gamers and Brass have been pretty quiet. What do you guys think?
I'm reminded of that Scarlett Johansson film where she's the voice in the computer the whole time.
Was that her?
Yes, that's the one.
I think I saw that one.
Which actually is just a more updated version of the Al Pacino film, Simone.
Perfect example of why we should not be doing that shit, though. Absolutely.
Well, no, actually, she's right. Yeah, Simone is a perfect example of exactly what's happening right now. Because that was a completely false personality. You know, that was just complete AI. And sometimes you controlled it, sometimes you pre-programmed. But that's what we're getting to. Like, what's going to be real, what's not going to be real, and how long is it before they just bring Robin Williams back from the dead as an AI?
And I love technology. I really do. We wouldn't be able to talk right now without it. Like, technology is a wonderful, beautiful thing. But I don't want technology to replace human connection. Like, it should not happen. It's not a good idea. It's going to end up being very, very bad. I'm like, let's just not go there.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I kind of wonder if any of the people that are like really getting into this and stuff, I wonder if they realize exactly how much they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Because it's like, you know, you can only go so far before it's like, okay, so we've got all of this stuff, and, well, hey, you know, we're still going to, you know for a fact that they're still going to charge, you know, $10 to $15 for a ticket to see the movie and stuff like that. And it's like, and, you know, well, who's going to be able to afford it? It's like, if you basically replace all of these people, you know, you're not feeding money back into the economy. You're just taking more of it for yourself and stashing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of like with the gas prices last year, where it was like, oh yeah, gas prices are skyrocketing. It's like, okay, there is some, you know, some cause for the prices to go up, but then all the oil companies are posting record profits, and it's like, wait a second here, how does that work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like the automation of most jobs, like the workforce is being replaced. You know, like back in my town, back in Virginia, we're getting apartments that literally cost $5.3 million, but nobody can afford that because nobody can get a job that pays more than minimum wage.
We will eventually get to a point where everyone needs a UBI, unless they're in that fortunate few.
Hopefully we get to the point where we just pour gasoline and ignite the entire system. Look, my inner anarchist is coming out.
I'm not saying I know which one of those two will come first, but...
Well, and technology can do so many amazing things, but people in general, I think as a society, a lot of us, for whatever reason, not me, probably not you, but we have this thing where we're like, okay, we can do that, so we should do it. I don't need a toaster that can teach me Mandarin, you know? Like, I'm like, it's not necessary. People need to start thinking, should we, versus just, we can.
I mean, if it teaches you Mandarin, does it do it via voice prompting, or does it just toast the phrase that you're supposed to learn that day on the toast? Because that'd be badass.
Okay, it would be badass, but, like, that's not the point. The point is that, you know, the economy keeps changing, all these things keep changing, and there's not enough workforce to support the economy, and yet they keep exacerbating the problem, and then they're like, hey, we got all these amazing robots that we spent a shit ton of money on, and they can do this minimum wage job, so you don't have to. But they didn't create any more jobs. And also, we're gonna have to train people to do maintenance on these robots. Like, eventually, they're gonna need, oil changes, parts changed, updates. But like you just said, they have robots to do that. So like, we have robots fixing robots. Where's the person element? Where is the human element still?
Yeah.
Dead.
I mean, that's
like nothing keeping it in check.
Yeah. I mean, well, even I mean, the biggest argument that I could see as far as that businesses might listen to, and might is very stressed there, is the fact that, okay, so you can you can do this without a human component. You can make you can make a film without human component. You use AI for the writers, you use AI for the CGI and all this stuff. Great. All those people that are out of work, that's going to be bad. The more stuff that you replace with robots, it's like, how are people going to buy your shit?
But see, they don't listen to that because we've been saying that for ages. We can't afford anything. But because we have people who can afford things like that, and they're the ones making the rule. You know what?
We haven't really said this to them. They haven't had to actually face the reality of that.
Well, that's because the people who can afford it are the ones who are in control.
Oh no, it goes. It's much more basic than that, Caden. People will scrimp and save to buy the latest iPhone, even though they realistically cannot fucking afford it. They will put themselves in debt. They will sign a 3-year contract to get a phone for free, meaning that they can't change their service. They can't go anywhere else. They are guaranteed to pay X amount for 3 years. Basically, people are willing to put themselves deep into debt in order to get this. So we haven't really said to them, "Hey, stop this shit," because who's going to be able to buy your stuff? Everybody's still buying their stuff. Even the people that can't afford it are still buying their stuff.
Okay, here's something that I also find just bizarre. So, I work at a college, so I hear crap constantly. But there's all these people, and they say, "Oh, people don't want to work." And I was like, okay, there is a small part of the population that don't want to work, but here is what you're missing. A lot of this big part of the population you're complaining about, I'm like, they don't want to work for 45 plus hours a week at a minimum wage job, working their ass off, and not even be able to afford a shit apartment or their kid's dentist bill or whatever it is. I was like, they want either a work-life balance or to get paid enough that it's actually worth it to them. And I'm like, you aren't giving them that. Especially the ones who put themselves through trade school or college or whatever specific training they need now for this damn job. They can't pay back their damn bills. So I'm like, why would they force themselves to do that? You're not giving them any incentive. And then they're like, oh, they're lazy. They don't want to work. I'm like, nothing they said tells me they're lazy or they're uneducated or they're not smart or they don't want to work. It told me they want a decent life for their hard work. And you don't want to give it to them.
I agree. I think that's the biggest thing that the pandemic really kind of showed people. It's like it really showed people exactly how close, even with the job that they've had for the past 5 years. It's like, hey, you're a few short, you're maybe 2 or 3 months, if you're lucky, you're 2 or 3 months away from being completely out of money, and hey, you're screwed.
Yeah, I'm facing that situation right now.
What was that?
I said, yeah, I'm facing that situation right now.
Yeah, it's... But yeah,
well, and I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's once the pandemic hit, and it's like, oh, hey, you can't go to work. It's like, oh, okay, but wait, how do... Okay, no problem. I have savings. It's like, yeah, you have savings. Not that much in savings.
Oh, and by the way, those savings, sure, you might be able to scrimp for a couple months, but guess what? Because people aren't working and the companies want their money, the prices are getting hiked.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that eggs thing was crap. I'm like, okay, eggs are gonna go up. Eggs didn't go up. Eggs skyrocketed. I'm like, this is eggs, okay? And eggs are important, and I get that there's not like an endless supply. But I'm like, do you know what people used to do? They'd be like, okay, we have to save money. We're gonna make like the basics, we're gonna get some bread, some milk, some eggs, maybe some peanut butter. We might be able to afford some meat. I'm like, and suddenly eggs went up, like it was the freaking Great Depression, and people didn't know how to function. Gas went up, eggs went up. Stuff that's considered basics went so through the roof. And then people are like, well, I don't know why you're having issues doing this and this and this. I'm like, because everybody's exhausted and moody and grabbing for as much resources as they can for as cheap as they can. And it's crazy.
I mean,
that's why.
We're in the Great Depression just with TikTok.
I guess we're kind of in our own depression, yeah. It's not as bad as the Great Depression, but it's something weird.
It's the millennial depression. The millennials killed the depression industry.
Oh my gosh. That hurts. This shit'll blow y'all's mind. Everybody knows the game Monopoly, right? The board game. We all grew up with Monopoly.
You mean the one that we play wrong because nobody understands that when it's called Monopoly, the actual goal is to make a monopoly?
Okay, yes, but I'm assuming most of our generation, at least, we know how to play Monopoly by the rules. And there's been over 300 editions of Monopoly that came out. Well, at the college, they have Monopoly for Millennials. When I tell you this shit pissed me off so bad, and they should have just called it something else, because you don't even try to get money. That's not the point of the game. You get experience tokens. And it has like a trophy that's like a participation award and all this shit. And I'm like, I know it's supposed to be like a joke, like, haha, we're making fun of ourselves, but I'm like, this is sad. This isn't Monopoly, because as Kaden pointed out, it's supposed to be, in the name, you're monopolizing. It's about business economy and strategy and learning how to save and spend and make money. Like, that's the point of the game. It's to monopolize.
The original game was actually supposed to be a satire. It was supposed to be a social commentary saying, hey, monopolies and capitalism is fucking stupid.
Okay, yes, but like they changed it to
because America
experience tokens. Like it just I was like, what is this? And they had things like surfing on your friend's couch, going to a 2-day concert. Like it hurt me. Yeah. I couldn't even figure out how to play the damn thing, to advertise it, to get students involved.
It's kind of, Caden, it's kind of taking that corporate game that it was turned into and then cranking it up to 11.
Oh yeah.
Like money doesn't even matter. No, you should be happy to work for just experience. Like, don't expect to get paid for what you do. No, fuck that. You want the experience.
You're getting paid in exposure.
Exactly.
Okay, so I say we let RAS and gamers take it for a while, so just so we don't have as much cynicism, because it's getting pretty damn dark.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's not you. Like,
it happens often.
They balance this out. Yeah, me and Ollamh could make this totally cynical.
I could see one thing being a valid for the experience and the exposure, and that's if you're putting in like maybe 5-10 hours a week, and I'm expecting that to be a startup or something.
Yeah,
fair.
Right. It's when we get down to the level of full-time job that I'm like, oh wait, no. No, that is just piracy of labor. That is wage theft at that point.
That's kind of what's happening right now, honestly. Like, it goes back to the topic that we were talking about tonight. Like, you sign that contract, you do the work, but then you've signed away your likeness, your voice, everything else. You're literally working for exposure. And then they don't even have to give you exposure because they don't have to credit you for it.
I should note I am insane enough to have been doing a radio show these last 20 years that I am not paid for. But I do that to promote the Gothic industrial subcultures and raise awareness about the bands, the music, etc. But that's basically it.
But see, that's not working for exposure. That's working for exposure.
Fair. That's working to expose.
Yeah, there you go. Semantics.
Gods.
So wait, are you saying you're the equivalent of a porn actor?
Wait,
damn it! Now I need to get one on the show.
Or are you just like, or are you just like an on-air flasher?
No, he's the pimp. He's the one pushing.
No, he's the one that's helping to expose.
It's true.
Oh, so he's
not getting
fluffer.
paid, so
He's the fluffer.
I'm the pro bono pimp.
Now that sounds like an online cartoon. The pro bono pimp.
That sounds like someone making fun of every cartoon in the 80s.
Yeah, but you would have been like one of the classier of the cartoons in the 80s.
So, you remember back when, Ollamh, when I was saying that, like, you and I should work on that noir show?
Okay, yeah.
I think we just found our plot. The pro bono.
Oh, Lord.
So, gamers, how are you doing?
I'm alright. Sorry, I was just listening to the conversation.
Were you
I
listening
didn't
or were you
really,
slowly going mad?
A bit of both. I just didn't have any input. That's all. I'm honestly just excited for Tuesday to come so that I can try out that new Star Trek game. Because honestly, we haven't had a good Star Trek game since 2013. Every game that has been released has been space combat, and it's treated the franchise like Star Wars. So it's going to be nice to actually play a point-and-click adventure game where we're not blasting everything in outer space.
That is one of the problems I have with Star Trek Online. It's like, yeah.
Yes, that's one of the problems I have with every single Star Trek, aside from the ones in 2013. Because every Star Trek game after 2013 was literally space combat. And including the cell phone games, which honestly I don't really play cell phone games. I find them a waste of time. But every single one has been literally just blasting at other starships and stuff like that. They've treated it like Star Wars, which it's not. And I've seen gameplay footage of this one coming out on Tuesday, and it's actually being faithful to the source material. It takes place in the Next Generation universe. And they've already confirmed that several of the Next Generation cast are going to be in it. And yeah, it looks really good. Like it's going to be a lot of. So you're playing two roles. You're playing an ensign in engineering, and you're playing the commander of the ship as well. And so you switch between those characters, I guess, on the fly or whatever. And each one has their own, set goals or whatever. But there is a lot of exploring. You actually feel like you're on board a starship because there is a lot. You can literally take the turbo lift, go anywhere. You can mess around in the holodeck, all that kind of stuff. But at its heart, it's beaming onto planets and all that kind of stuff. And you have to solve a war and make try to make peace with various civilizations. And it looks really good. I'm not gonna lie, it looks really good.
See, I will say one thing with the Star Trek Online. It wasn't just a space combat type thing. It was they did have like actual other types of stuff, but it was still just like it was still very heavy in combat, which was just felt weird to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
so this one is
space combat. Then you have the ground missions where it's still, but it was still very much based around combat. And it's like it was, it was never supposed. Star Trek was never supposed to be about just outright combat.
Yeah. So this one is going the route of Star Trek 25th Anniversary. So it's a next generation version of 25th Anniversary, if you will, in terms of gameplay. So it's going to be a lot of puzzle solving, beaming onto planets, that kind of stuff. Now, there may be space combat in it, but it's not going to be the heart of the game. Combat is not the heart of the game.
Well, even with the 25th anniversary and Judgment rights, there was still a surprising amount of space combat.
So with Judgment, yes. With 25th Anniversary, there was. With Judgment rights, less so, because you had the option when you started a new game to take out the space combat elements and just have it be at its heart a point-and-click adventure game without the attacking of starships and all that kind of stuff. And that is how I played it.
That's a little bit of a gray area, because it's like, well, you can turn it off, but it's still a promoted feature of the game. So it's like,
no, I know what you're saying. This game is not going to be like that. As far as I have seen, there's a lot of just little things like that I found really interesting. Like in the trailer, the gameplay trailer, they show that you take a shuttlecraft. At one point, your lieutenant commander in engineering, or whoever, the chief engineer or whatever, he has you go take a shuttlecraft to the outside of your ship, and you're fixing something on the saucer section, and it's just little things like that. And when you use your tricorder in the game, it goes into a first-person mode, and every button on the tricorder actually does something. So you kind of have to know what you're doing, I guess, in that sense. So there's a lot of that kind of elements in the game, which I really appreciate, because it's been a long time since we've had a decent adventure game, Star Trek, and I'm looking forward to it, because five guys who used to work for Telltale Games are making this game. So they formed a new company called Dramatic Labs, and they brought over a whole bunch of former Telltale Games employees. So if you see some of the gameplay of Star Trek Resurgence, there is a lot of Telltale at its heart. There is still, picking different responses. Each response will change the outcome of the story. They still added all of those elements into the game. If you remember playing some of the older Telltale games, it would say in the top right corner or top left corner, this character will remember that, all that kind of stuff, because it affects the story.
They still do that in SOTOR.
Yeah, so all of that is in this upcoming Star Trek game. So you'll be able to affect the story based on all of your choices, just like classic Telltale. But yeah, this is their first game since they formed this new company. And honestly, like I said, from the gameplay trailer as I've seen it, it looks really good.
I kind of hope that they ditch the actually saying, "Oh, this person will remember that." That always kind of irritated me. It's like, I like the fact that your choices matter, obviously.
No, so but they have ditched it. They have ditched it for this game. Because I read an early review of the game. I think it was today or yesterday. But what they did do this time is so it doesn't say in the top right corner anymore. What it does now is when you hit the pause button, it brings up relationship statuses and all that. It brings up like basically a tree, and it shows where your choices are branching the story, if you will. But it's not going to blatantly be in your face and be like, "Oh, this character will remember that." It's not doing that. What I'm saying is it's using those elements, but it's gone about them a different way.
Yeah, but my point is that I really don't like how I really don't even like seeing the branching. Yeah. It the writing should be good enough that it's like, look, if this person hates me, I should be able to figure it out without, looking at a flow chart or without seeing anything, without any indication that, oh, hey, they hate you specifically because of this. It's like, no, if I'm a dick to them, they should fucking hate me, and it shouldn't be like ambiguous.
No, I think you're misunderstanding me. No, I don't think that is going to be in your face. I'm talking about branching story, as in like I don't know how to put this. So there was a FMV game that came out recently called Mia and the Dragon Princess, and it would bring up a tree when you pause the game, and the tree would just show all the different changes that the story can take. So it would show my progress and the tree the route that I took, but it wouldn't give away anything. It would just be like, well, this is.
It is to a certain extent though, because it's telling you where the branch is. It's like, look, you went down.
Yeah, but it's very vague.
Path A rather than path B, and it's like, but I don't. It's like it feels too much like a choose your own adventure book rather than an actual adventure. Like, it's like, okay, you can, you can go back to this page and take a different path, make a different choice, and it'll take you down a different adventure. It's like, for me, it's like, I don't want to know. It's like, that's.
It's the last time I saw something like that, as I mentioned earlier, I was playing SOTOR. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, it wasn't something I said, it was a specific action I took. I spared the lives of two characters that arguably could come back to bite me in the ass. And that's the moment when I saw the words on the screen, your actions will be remembered. Now, you can't unsave things, but you can either A, make another character on the account, or B, hit escape real quick before the cinematic stops, and boom, you'll go back to its beginning.
Fair enough.
Because SOTOR.
And that's how I feel about it, is if you know where the choice is and that it's going to affect the story, that just encourages save scumming. Like, you're just going to keep going back until you get the result you want. And that takes away the fun.
Yeah, a good example of doing it right is Cyberpunk 2077. So you have all of these, interactions with Johnny Silverhand. But there's only like 4 or 5 actual choices in the game that enable you to go the solo route at the end.
Yeah.
But you don't know, but it doesn't make it, there's unless you look up online and find out exactly what those 5 choices are, you have no idea. Yeah.
No, I get that. Now, but going into the backstory of this game though, so this game takes place during the events of First Contact. So set in the Next Generation universe, and you are you're not the Enterprise. You're a ship called the Resurgence, if I remember correctly, and it's a Centaur class. You're on a Centaur class ship, and I remember, Ollamh, you had seen a trailer of this game a long time ago to jog your memory here, and I remember there was a scene where Admiral Spock, or Ambassador Spock, sorry, comes on board and is talking to you and everything like that. I remember you were saying, wow, that voice actor sounds a lot like Spock. And I remember you and I were like thinking, is this an AI voice? Is it pre-recorded Leonard Nimoy or whatever? Because this guy sounded dead on. And it turns out that it is actually a YouTuber named Peter Michael, and he works for a YouTube channel called Screen Junkies, and that's who they hired to play Spock in this game.
Okay, yeah, I remembered that, but yeah, like I said, yeah, it's just I've always been of the opinion it's like, look, having the branching storylines and stuff like that, that's great. I love that. It's like being but it's like it should be ambiguous. Kind of, it's kind of like the Mass Effect series really too, because it's like,
in the same sense though, when you pause the game, it's not going to be right there in your face. You have to specifically go to that screen on the pause menu. But what I'm saying is you can avoid doing that entirely. You know what I mean? That's for the people who want to be able to see that. But I mean, in this game, you'll be able to avoid that entirely. If you don't want to see what branches are going on, you don't need to go to that screen and look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, you don't have to do this. You don't have to, but you know that it's there.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to, you don't have to it's, well, okay, like going out to eat or something like that. It's like, well, you don't have to go to McDonald's, but you're going to run into one every 2 blocks.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think my biggest thing for the game is there hasn't been really, even with the adventure games, there hasn't been a Star Trek game where you felt like you were serving on board the ship. It was very linear, and it's like, go here, do this, go here, do that. Oh, what? You want to explore the ship? Go fuck yourself. That's not happening. Whereas
Sounds
this
exactly
game,
like serving in the Navy.
yeah. But this game, they don't do that. They're like, they drop you down. Yes, you have your set mission objectives. Yes, you should probably do it before the captain shoots you out of the airlock. But in the meantime, I'm going to explore the goddamn ship. Because I want to have a couple of drinks and 10 forward. I want to mess around on the holodeck. And eventually, somewhere down the line, I will get to my mission. But that's what this game is. It's very much exploring, and you are very much feel like you're a crew member on board this ship. You have your own quarters. It just feels so much more fleshed out than what the previous adventure games have been like.
Well, with the popularity of open world games and stuff like that, it's not terribly surprising that they would do that, because it's like, it's. Since they've done a lot of this stuff, it's like, I mean, and even in Star Trek Online, they kind of did the same, they made it, more open world in some areas. Like, you can actually, like, go into your ship and just explore around. You can go to engineering. You can go to the break rooms and stuff like that. It's like, you can do all of that. And I think that, and I kind of wonder if that's might not be kind of their, like, oh, you know what? Maybe, these are some of the things that people really liked in this.
Yeah. Oh, guaranteed. I can guarantee you that they probably looked at Star Trek Online and saw the things that people like and the things that people disliked when they were making this game. Guaranteed. But that is the main thing that I really liked, and I liked the fact that when you use your tricorder, it goes into like a first-person mode, and you see the tricorder right in front of you, and you can mess around with it. And I really like that, because like in all the previous adventure games, you just took out your tricorder, clicked on something, and they did the rest. Whereas in this one, it's a lot more advanced than that.
Well, I mean, with it being in the Star Trek Next Generation, I can see that being cool, but at the same time, I could see that being like, what the hell am I supposed? What?
Yeah, I was about to say, I have the unpopular opinion that open worlds have been getting a little too open.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I remember Star Trek or Star Wars Galaxy, and how many people would literally just take basic jobs. Like they would literally just take a job as a bartender in a cantina, because you could do that in that game. It wasn't like, oh, hey, you're a fighter, you have to go out and go on an adventure. It's like, well, no, it was.
Yeah, I literally just finished an open world game, and I've had it for a while, and I was making my way through it once a day. I was getting further and further and further in it, and now I've been streaming it lately after I've beaten it. I'm thinking like, why am I streaming this? Because this game literally took me 160 hours to complete, and that's doing every side mission and main mission. And I'm like, now I'm streaming it. What the hell am I doing? But this is going to be like the longest goddamn stream I've ever done.
Well,
it's going to be like 50 freaking parts.
That's the point where you have to decide: are you going for a completionist on stream, or are you just going to, hey, I want to play the game and do the thing?
Oh no, I'm going for a completionist. I'm a masochist.
Apparently,
I'm doing
so we know.
Yes. So no.
You're on this podcast. I'm pretty sure that's mandatory here.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the qualifications. Yeah.
You've got to be pretty sadomasochistic to be a pirate.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Now, I will say I there are some games that really chafe me as far as the quote unquote open world, like Red Dead Redemption 2. That one kind of pissed me off a little bit with their supposed open world, because it's like it's sort of open world, but it's sort of not, because it's like, oh hey, you can't hey, there's all these legendary animals that you can get, and you can get special outfits with these legendary animals, but you can't get like a third of the legendary animals until you're in the epilogue and you're playing John Marston. It's like, so what?
So what was the point? Yeah.
Why was he trying to sell it to Arthur if there was no way Arthur could get the creatures? It's like, that's just.
Well, just yeah, no, like there was a lot of stuff in Red Dead Redemption 2 that was like, I don't know, it just kind of like shoved this entire giant ass world at you, and then it felt like a game. It definitely felt like a Rockstar game, that's for sure. But I mean, it felt like one of their games where it's like, okay, here's the world, go play, be home for dinner. Literally, and that's what all of Rockstar's games have felt like since they've started, aside from the older Grand Theft Autos. But it literally felt like, this is your world. Fuck around.
It kind of feels like that up until the like I said, up until the fact that you realize that, hey, there's an entire massive chunk of the map that Arthur will never get to. Arthur cannot enter this section of the map. It's like, but hey, there's a lot of really neat shit back down here that, that would be helpful if he could go and see. But no, he can't get, you can't get to Blackwater. You can't get to any of the legendary animals around Blackwater. It's just like, nope, you're just that's
yeah, no, you can only get to Blackwater when you play as John Marston. And
yeah,
again, I think the reason for that was the fact that, keep in mind, Red Dead Redemption 2 was a prequel to Red Dead Redemption.
I understand that, but the thing is it's like you're
why put it on the map?
Yeah, Arthur has the map of the legendary animals. You never see him pass it off to John Marston, so it's like, but he's like, oh, hey, so there's this down here, but it's like, nope, you can't get to it. You have to wait until the epilogue, and that's the thing that pisses me off. It's like, this is part of this, this map is part of the story, but it's not really part of the story. It's part of the after story.
Now I just picture John Marston just getting ready to die on that hill, and just John Marston over top of him, John Marston over top of him, and Arthur's just like, John, before I go, I want you to have this map.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, John, wait, before you go, here's this map. Here's all my contacts so that you can finish off all of these different quests. Oh, hey, don't forget to mention me to this, to the fur trader. Mention me to this person. It's like, Jesus.
Dying monologue.
Yeah, it's like
the amount
of shit that he would have to tell John Marston, be like, okay, so here's this like book of people that you are going to need to talk to. They'll. I've already done a lot of shit for them. You can finish up for me, please. Thank you. It's like.
I did like, though, in John Marston's side of the campaign. Well, keep in mind, when I first played this game, I wasn't expecting to play as John Marston. I've seen so many YouTubers react to that, and they're just like, you're all upset because Arthur dies, and then it immediately cuts to John Marston on a wagon, and all of these YouTubers are just sitting there bawling their eyes out, and they're like, "Oh wait, what? The game's not over yet? What the fuck is this now?" Just felt so forced when it went over to John Marston's thing. I know why they did it, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you didn't even give people time to grieve. You were just like, well, yeah, that character you played through the entire game, yeah, they're dead now, and now you're playing as this guy, so fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, and the entire game, John Marston's just this complete and utter fucking moron.
He is. He absolutely is.
And it's like, oh hey, the dumbest fucking character that survived the game? Yeah, you gotta play as him now. For 2 epilogues. Yeah. It's like, fucking why? It's like, if I want to play as him, I'll play the original game.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 who I thought were annoying and stupid. It wasn't just him.
I mean,
I hated Uncle. I could not stand Uncle, and I was doing. I don't know if it was on live stream or what, but I was playing the game the one time, and it was the funniest thing I ever saw. And it was not meant to happen, but Uncle's with me, and it's very early on in the game. It's when you first get into like the springtime, and he's bragging about how good he is on a horse. And you cannot time this better. He's bragging about how good he is on a horse, and then proceeds to ram right into a tree with the horse and go flying backwards. And I'm like, aha, good on a horse, huh? Jesus.
No, I still think I still hold that the only reason that they had an epilogue with Marston was because they had this great story all laid out, they had it all planned out, and they're like, okay, so yeah, we're good. And it's like, wait. What about this guy? This Micah guy. He's not mentioned in the original. We don't have to hunt him down in the original. We have to find some way of finishing him off.
Yeah.
And it's like, exactly and they're just kind of like, oh, well.
Yeah, fuck. That's exactly what it was. No, that's exactly what it was. They had a perfect ending, and then they realized, oh, hold on.
Yeah, they couldn't have just said, oh, you know what? We're just gonna make it so that Arthur and Micah just both wind up taking each other out and just,
Yeah.
That would have made a whole lot more sense to me. It's like, that's, the way they did it, it's just like, that just feels stupid.
The only thing I liked about John Marston's side of Red Dead 2 was the building the house part. I really enjoyed that for whatever stupid reason, but I did enjoy that part. But the rest of it was absolutely pointless. Like, you had the dumbest missions as John Marston. It's like, oh, go into town and get a photo with your wife. Okay. Like, what? All right, cool. And there was so much drawn out as well. Like, it's like they could have easily just had him when you went on to his campaign, could have had him start on the mission towards killing Micah. But no, it's like, propose to your wife, take a photo with your wife, buy a ring for your wife, do this, do that, do the other thing, and then finally, oh yeah, do you remember how Mike is still alive? Maybe we should take care of him now. After you built a house, built a farm, can propose to your wife, took photos with your wife. What else? Delivered produce to a grocery store or something. I did. Just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I I always have a problem with a game that's like, oh no, you have, here's the end of the game. You've reached the end of the game.
Yeah.
Congratulations, the story is done. But
wait.
But you have more to do in order to connect everything together. It's like that's just bad writing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more or less that they probably just forgot. And at the last minute, we're like, okay, we're ready to ship. Wait a minute. Shit.
Yeah.
Mike is still alive.
Like, Mike is alive and we don't mention him.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Red Dead Redemption 2, when it initially was, yes, wait a minute. It was delayed, wasn't it? Red Dead Redemption 2 was delayed. I don't think it was set to come. I think it was delayed past its release date initially. I think I remember that. And I think that's probably why. I think because they realized, hold on, that's not a proper ending. Yeah, now we got to add this entire scene with John Marston. Yeah. But I did like Arthur. I do like Arthur Morgan more as a character than John Marston. Even so, after playing Red Dead 2, I don't think I could ever go back to Red Dead 1. I just didn't like the characters. There's so many stupid characters in Red Dead 1. Like fucking Irish. He was the most annoying. I don't know. Red Dead 1 felt less serious. Red Dead 2 felt more serious. And I mean, it had some comedic elements in it, surely, but it felt more serious. Whereas Red Dead 1 just felt like, oh, well, this is like kind of Grand Theft Auto on horses.
Well, yeah, I mean, Red Dead 1 was, hey, you have to go and kill this list of people.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
Whereas Red Dead 2, at the end.
Whereas Red Dead 2, it was like, no, you're being hunted down by the by the Pinkerton Detective Agency, so you're trying to survive.
Rockstar has always had a habit. Now that I think about it, Rockstar has always had a habit of killing off the main character at the ending of the game, so they don't have to do a sequel.
Yeah,
that has happened in almost every single one of their games. Even L.A. Noire, where Cole Phelps literally dies at the end. It's like, okay, I guess the sequel's out at that point.
I don't know.
Unless you're playing as this rotten corpse.
Most of the more recent Grand Theft Auto, actually most of the Grand Theft Autos, the main character survives.
Yeah, well, with Nico, in terms of GTA 4, they wanted to... So originally, GTA 5 was supposed to be with Nico. Was supposed to be a continuation. But then they had a falling out with the voice actor.
Well, I mean, CJ survives. The guy in Vice City survives. Nico survives. The canonical ending, all three of the protagonists survive in 5.
Yes, if you do it right, yes, absolutely. But
the ending that they're continuing from, all three of them survive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like,
I was just glad Roman died in GTA 4. I swear to God, if I had to freaking finish that game and then go back to the open world and have to hear, "Cousin, you want to go bowling?" I would have lost my freaking mind.
That was just a piss poor decision on their
Oh my God. I hated that element. I'm like right in the middle of a mission and Roman's calling me because he wants to go see titties. I'm like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Yourself.
Like all of the companions like, hey, you want to go do this? No.
Yeah, no.
It's like, sorry, I'm in the middle of a firefight here, motherfucker. Shut up and go away.
They're the human equivalent of Clippy.
Pretty much, yeah. It was. It's like,
oh my God. Yeah, no, oh my God.
I see you're in the middle of a stealth mission. You want to go bang a whore?
Oh God.
I'm surprised.
Thank God they got rid of that element for GTA 5. They made it so that you had the option of turning it on if you wanted to. I always kept it off. I don't need the NPCs calling me to go to a bar, go here, go there. Jesus Christ.
They should have had that.
They made it seem like it was a date simulator at that point. I was just like, great, Roman's lonely. He can just, I don't care.
I mean, that to be fair, that was kind of a natural progression from San Andreas that actually did have, basically a date simulator.
Yeah, but it was done right. I mean, that was okay. That was not bad. It was weird. It was a bit weird, but it wasn't that bad. But Roman, like all of these NPCs just randomly calling your phone, and cousin, I hear this guy is playing at the comedy club. I want to go see him. It's like, no, I don't care. Go yourself. You got a fucking taxi cab.
I kind of wish that it did, like, you're in the middle of a stealth mission, all of a sudden Roman calls and everybody knows where the fuck you are because you forgot to put your phone on silent.
Like I said,
they imply it. They imply it at the beginning, near the beginning of GTA 4, actually. And it's a scripted scene where Nico is tailing a guy on foot, and Roman literally calls your phone, and you can either hang up or you can answer it. And if you answer it, Nico goes, Roman, I'm in the middle of a mission. Call me later. And it literally does that. And they do kind of hint at that in that mission. And it was really actually funny.
So then after that, they like, oh no, if you answer, no, you have to make a decision. You have to choose whether to go. It's like, really? No.
I feel like that's what it was. I feel like if you answered, then they're like, oh, so you want to have these people call you all the time.
Oh my god. If that's the trick, I kind of wonder now if that isn't the switch, that it's like if you just reject the call, they're like, okay, we won't bother you with any more phone calls.
I think it is.
How pissed would people be?
But they kept that going for all of their shit after that, because the Ballad of Gay Tony had that, and then so did Lost and Damned. They all had that. Oh, let's go to the bar. Let's do that. It's like, oh Jesus, man.
I mean, those were basically just built on that. Were just built on that engine. So it's like, oh well, it's just part of this game. So if we take it out of the DLC, people might be like, well, what happened to this?
Yeah.
In reality, people would probably just play the DLC and forget about the main game.
Yeah.
Hey, these guys actually know how to work a cell phone. Great.
But like I was saying, Nico was supposed to be in GTA 5 initially, and apparently there was some fiasco where the actor who played Nico was claiming he didn't get paid enough by Rockstar Games. And so he tried taking them to court, and of course he lost. And Rockstar then decided, no, he's done with us. We're not even going to make mention of his character anymore. Nico's dead, gone, finished.
No, that's not true. That is not
true. They did do a little
Easter egg
reference. They did do a little Easter egg reference to him in, but it was stupid. It was like, oh, remember this guy from
well,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
City guy.
Yeah, it's when they're trying to put together crew, it's like, well, I do know this guy that was this this Eastern European guy that was working in Liberty City, but he's gone quiet. So
gone quiet, which means that he's dead. Yeah. They also I don't know if you noticed this. When you're in Michael's house, there is a laptop in the living room that the sun is always on. If you zoom in on the laptop in photo mode or whatever, you'll see that the page that he is on is Nico Bellic's essentially Facebook page, whatever they called it in GTA 5.
Oh god.
Yeah, but it is Nico Bellic's page.
It's like, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
FaceTime or something. I don't remember. My face. I don't know what it was. It was something stupid like that.
Friend face.
Friend face is from the IT crowd.
Oh yeah, I know.
I still love that. You guys were talking about earlier, you wouldn't steal a car or whatever. As soon as you said that, I was reminded of that scene in the IT Crowd. You wouldn't steal the policeman's helmet, and then take a shit in the helmet, and then return it to the wife, and then steal it again. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That was like the best. Oh man, I love that show.
The American reboot, the American version, not so much.
So I haven't seen it, and after hearing you talk about it, I don't think I want to see.
You had an American version?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but the guy who plays Winger in Community plays plays Roy.
But why?
Because in America, you don't get a weird-looking geek to actually play the weird-looking geek. You gotta have a fairly in shape, handsome man to play the lead role. They did the same thing with Red Dwarf. From Lister, they had this guy that looks like he was, a football player. Guys like chiseled jaw, well-groomed hair, muscles, and he's supposed to be playing Lister, and it's like, he does not look like a slob. It's like the character's supposed to be a slob. What the hell are you guys doing?
They try and make up for it by having him stick a cigarette in his ear occasionally. I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like most BBC shows that are remastered, remade, whatever, by America usually end up sucking. I mean, I think the only exception to that would be The Office, but I never liked the American version of The Office. I prefer the BBC. But that's mainly because I like Ricky Gervais. But I mean, I do notice that whenever America takes from somewhere else, they invariably end up fucking over the show.
Oh yeah, and like I said,
what we're saying is. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it mostly comes down to just the main, what they think the main character should be, and it's like they always fuck up the main character.
Yeah.
I worry about an American Doctor Who that, besides the TV movie.
Isn't that just Torchwood?
Yeah, actually, I think that would be.
Jack Harkness is exactly what American Doctor would be like: immortal, a slut, and angry.
And chiseled jaw, good looks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't think John Barrowman was really famous enough to get to be in an American version of it. But, I mean, all the surface level stuff is there. Yeah.
I'm surprised that he never had his own TV series. just with that character.
Who?
I'm surprised.
Wait, what?
John. I'm surprised that they never had a series with John Barrowman playing the character from Doctor Who, but his own series.
They did.
Jack Harkness. Oh, they did?
Torchwood.
That was literally just with him as the main star? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Then I've never seen that then.
That was the whole Torchwood was following Jack Harkness.
Yeah,
okay.
he took over the Torchwood Institute, and yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Then I've never seen that.
That's why I was like, wait, what? Huh?
Fair enough.
I am very confused. It doesn't take much, but
It doesn't take much for any of us, let's be fair. But yeah, so they did confirm for the Star Trek game that Jonathan Frakes, Patrick Stewart, Brent Spiner, and a few others are going to be in it. Obviously, they're not going to be main characters, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know anything because they're keeping it under wraps until Tuesday when it releases, right? They don't want to give away too many spoilers. But
wait, people can still manage to keep things under wraps.
Game companies, yes.
I mean, like,
Um,
hell, most of
They-
you know, like most of the trailers and stuff that you see, hell, even going back a few years, it's like they always spoil everything. It's like, just in the trailers, it's like it was like the Shazam, the second Shazam movie. It's like, oh well, you know, they let on that Wonder Woman was going to be in it, and she's like in the very ass end of the movie. And it's like, gee, oh, only this type of person can do it. It's like, wait, we haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. You've got about 5 minutes left.
Give me a sec here. I'll send you guys the trailer for this in the Discord. You can check it out now. It's not very long. It's actually a very short trailer, but it gives you a prime example of, I'll send it in the Pirates Crew chat. It gives you a prime example of what it's going to be like.
I was going to say, go ahead and put it in general.
Oh, yeah, I can do that too. Yeah.
By the way, anybody listening that's part of the Discord can see it.
There.
Oh, and I should say, Shelby, you are you anytime you want to join in or anything like that, you are part of the Pirates Crew and the Pirates Crew voice channel. So
I'll be sure to relay that when she wakes up.
oh.
But check that out right now if you want, Olaf, and you can see just the gameplay style that they're going for and everything. And honestly, to me, it looks really freaking good.
Well, I'll have to do it afterwards because I have to have my general audio pumped through OBS.
Okay,
so.
fair enough.
So anybody else got anything that they wanted to bring up tonight? Because we've been going for about 2.5 hours, and I'm starting to feel tired.
Not really.
I'm going to ping you with that name here in a second that I promised early on in the show.
Okay, yeah. Anything specific from you, gamers?
Not really. Like I said, I'm just excited for Tuesday. I'm going to be streaming this game on Tuesday. It's been so long since a decent adventure game from Star Trek, so it's a big deal for me. But yeah, no, not really. No. I can't think of anything anyway. I am looking forward to, though, I think it's September, they're releasing the story length DLC for Cyberpunk 2077, so I'm equally interested in that as well, because I heard something about a moon base or something, and you'll be able to buy flying cars now and a whole bunch of other shit.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard any specific release dates for that. I am kind of looking forward to. I think it's in the next month or two. They're supposed to release the final release for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, Baldur's Gate. I think it's in June, actually. Hang on. I will tell you the exact release because it's on pre-order on PS5 right now. I think I saw it as being June. That it's coming out June.
Yeah, I knew it was coming up soon.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 4. Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. It's coming out August 28th. Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3, sorry, not 4. It's coming out, August 28th.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I knew Baldur's Gate 3 they were getting close because I've been playing it here and there with the different alpha releases, but it's like I don't want to get too into it because it's like there's a lot of, you know, there's a massive story. It's like I don't want to get too far into the story just to be stopped at a certain point. It's like, okay, now I have to replay that first part of the story again and again and again.
And then everyone was all excited about Mortal Kombat 12 or whatever, but they're apparently taking it back to its roots, and it's Mortal Kombat 1 now.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, and they also have a weird cast for it. Like, Jean-Claude Van Damme is playing Johnny Cage in this game. I'm like, what?
Oh,
what?
they finally.
What?
Well, I mean, come on. He was modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, was he? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's why all of his signature moves are kicks.
Kicks. He's got the splits, the full,
The sunglasses, the shirtless, perpetually.
Yeah, and the whole, oh, well, he's a martial artist that's also an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the character was based on him. I'm surprised it took him this long to actually get him.
It's
well, no, he apparently mentioned it on his Twitter that he will be playing the role of Johnny Cage in the upcoming Mortal Kombat game. So I was like,
yeah, they couldn't actually get him to agree to officially be part of it back in the day. So they're like, okay, so we're gonna just create this new character, but we're definitely it's definitely has like all of the telltale signs of being Van Damme.
Back in the day, a lot of actors didn't want to be a part of video games because they thought it was stupid and that it was something that wouldn't last. And nowadays, actors all want to be a part of video games. That's what I've noticed, is that they all want to be a part of it now because they realize it's not a dying industry and that is actually surpassing Hollywood movies at the moment.
Yeah. It's kind of the idea of, oh well, I guess this video games thing's sticking around. I might as well get into that. Right,
exactly. That's exactly what's going on. But no, I say that's great. I mean, I'm at the point now where I prefer video games over movies and TV shows. I like to play something where I can affect the entire story. Well, and that's why I like those branching stories in games, because you get more bang for your buck when there's replayability. I mean, and nobody wants to buy a game and then just finish it and be like, well, that's the end of that.
But see, that's one of the reasons why video game movies have always suffered. Because it's like you're taking a story from something where somebody basically really can affect the story. They can live out their own story. They get to choose what they do, when they do it, and stuff like that. And you're taking away all of the choices, all of the interaction, and just saying, hey, you're just kind of watching the story play out as we dictate it, instead of you getting to choose your own shit.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly it. And but that's why I prefer the video games over TV shows and movies. Is I noticed this more recently with Not for Broadcast, which is I do recommend this game if you haven't played it. It's a FMV style game where you work as a news editor. Basically, you're in the broadcasting studio and you have to broadcast the news, but it's all parody. It's all like a comedy. It's making fun of the news, essentially.
I remember seeing that one, and my thought at the time was, at least when they released it, was it was like, oh, so it's Papers, Please with a bigger budget.
Yeah, but the thing that they don't tell you in the trailers and all that kind of stuff is, in between doing the broadcasting stuff, it goes into like a text adventure game style, and those parts of the game take place in your house. It takes place after work, basically, and drama and various events in your house, but it's all text on the screen with a background graphic, kind of similar to like the old school text adventures like Mystery House and Colossal Cave and all that kind of stuff, Zork. And you are reading this text, and and then you get multiple choices and that you can choose from, kind of like those games. And what ends up happening is all of those choices then get like mashed in together, and it affects the story when you're in the broadcast studio. So because I didn't realize this until I started playing it again today, and I made different choices when I was doing the text-based part of the game. And then I noticed that after I did that, I'm making those different choices than I did the first time around. When I went back into the recording studio, all the news stuff was totally different. I was now seeing new footage that I had never seen before. So all of your choices in the text-based part will actually affect the FMB segments.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nah, it is. It leads for a lot of replayability.
All right. Well, I think that's where we're going to end for tonight.
Sounds good.
It has been about 3 hours.
Damn.
It's getting close. It's getting close to that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's standard for us, though.
Yeah. It is.
Well, okay.
Yes.
Standard for us is usually 3.5 hours because we lose track of time, or we try and say goodnight, and then we just keep talking and talking and talking.
I feel like when Sid was around, it was surpassing 3 hours.
Oh yeah, easily.
I thought it was like 5 hours, sometimes 6.
Well,
All
I mean,
we also
let's be
have-
fair. We were, huh?
I was gonna say we also have Wesselhausen saying they tuned in for the first time and enjoyed it. Glad to hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was about to say, to be fair, if we really let loose and go, we've mentioned before, me and Ollamh can talk for like 7-8 hours straight.
Oh yeah, your intro video is I think was one of the.
It is 5 hours and 47 minutes, I believe, was the count.
Yeah, that was.
And then we still kept talking for another like 4 hours after we stopped recording.
Yeah, I was about 5 hours too, or I think it was either 5 hours or at least maybe close to 6. But it was I remember that we were just stopping the interview at around 4 hours, and then I brought up the workplace, and then you kept talking for another hour about work and stuff like that, about your time at retail stores. It was,
you did actually answer another question that I was asking earlier tonight, because Shelby was sitting there saying, she's going to keep appearing. I was like, well, you know what? At this point, we may as well just ask if you want to be an official part of the crew. And if you're going to be an official part of the crew, we should just do an intro video for you.
True.
Yeah. I mean, that's up to her.
Yeah. We'll discuss it when she wakes up.
What is it with you and people falling asleep?
So from what I
hear,
hear from them, it's apparently that I have a very calming presence and a very calming voice, but that doesn't explain why the hell I fall asleep.
I was gonna say, it's like, yeah, I mean, well, okay, that would explain them, but it's like you've literally fallen asleep.
that would actually explain why I fell asleep within the first 5 minutes of watching your videos, Kaden. No, I'm just joking.
I can't talk. You all had to mute me one night while I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I think what it is like I've said before, I feed off the energy of other people. So like if they're relaxed and having fun, I start relaxing and having fun. But then my body's not used to actually being relaxed. It's used to being in a perpetual state of anxiety and stress. So it's like, what do we do? Oh, we must go unconscious now.
you linked a video in the Discord the one time, and I watched it, and it was like you talking about how you were going to do all this shit on your channel, and then procrastinating and not doing it, and it was like this entire mashup of just that. And finally at the end of the video, I'm like, but what were you going to do? You never said. Like, what it was just like a mashup of you making excuses about what you were supposedly going to do on your channel, but you never actually said what you were going to do.
Oh, but I did, just not in that video. I did it in the other video which I made, which was 20 minutes long.
An hour and a half video of just, we're going to do this. 6 years pass. Like, oh, all right.
Yeah, that's pretty much YouTube.
Yeah.
No, it really is.
Well, no, see, the part of the problem I've had with the channel is like, like I said in the video, I either get too busy or I lose motivation. But the other problem is like every idea I had to move the channel forward, it's always been with a group, and they're like, "Hey, we'll help you out. We want to do all this, and like, we'll do it." And then I go and start doing all the work, and then I'm like, "Hey, where are you guys? Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, we didn't actually want to do any of the work. We just want to show up on camera, look pretty, and then you pay us." And I was like, "That's not how this works."
Yeah.
No.
That's how a lot of people try. Yeah, they want it to work that way. They want like massive money right away type things. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, I love the one guy actually told me, he's like, "Well, I thought that we just post a video and then like people will just come and then we get paid." I was like, "What the fuck do you think this is?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it was
that's how
that
YouTube
easy,
works.
I wouldn't have to be worrying about the quality of production. This isn't TikTok.
Damn.
All right. Anyway, you guys want to say your good nights? Because
yeah, sure. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Thanks once again for having me, and I see you soon.
Good night, everyone. I hope you had fun listening to us ramble. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
See you all
And,
next week.
Is it next week game night?
Yes,
Next
next
week is
week
game
is
night,
game
isn't it?
night, so it'll be
Ooh,
Great.
Jackbox.
Excellent.
See
Wait, we
you all
have
next
Jackbox now?
No, we're not getting distracted.
See you all next week. Be sure to tune in to Over the Edge tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Central on new.weft.org/listen.
What?
Yeah.
I'm that fast.
That is a long link.
Nah, he's just quick. All
It's
right,
true.
so I'm gonna do my sign off, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to prod the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to check out the social media links down below, as well as ringing the bell. There's the Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Tumblr account, and the permanent invite for our Discord server. All that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!